The cameras might be off, but the drama never stops. King Harris, son of rap legend T.I. and Tiny, thought he was untouchable, with fame, money, and a last name that carries weight in hip-hop history. King has spent years living like he's invincible. But now, that bravado has landed him in the darkest chapter of his young life, and the stakes couldn't be higher. After a string of reckless moves, King found himself behind bars. At first, he strutted like a celebrity, treating jail like just another stage. But insiders say reality hit hard when he crossed paths with the wrong gang. What started as a few tense words spiraled into a full-blown threat, and suddenly, King wasn't the star anymore. He was a target. The whispers from inside are chilling. Sources claim King's been forced into altercations, robbed of his commissary, and left looking over his shoulder every second of the day. In the once cocky Harris air, he's allegedly broken down in court, begging the judge to let him out before it's too late. Fans are stunned. How did the flashy, tough-talking King Harris end up in this nightmare? Was it arrogance, bad choices, or simply the wrong place at the wrong time? And most importantly, can T.I. and Tiny pull enough strings to save their son before the streets inside those walls swallow him whole? One thing's for sure, this isn't just a story about jail time. This is a story about survival. When the news first broke that King Harris had landed himself in jail, fans thought it was just another headline in a long list of controversies. The son of T.I. and Tiny King has built a reputation for being brash, cocky, and untouchable. He flaunted money on Instagram, picked fights online, and carried himself like nothing could touch him. But behind bars, all that bravado doesn't mean a thing. Because jail isn't about followers or fame, it's about survival. And survival is something King Harris wasn't prepared for, according to insiders. King entered jail with the same swagger he displays online. He allegedly strutted through intake like he was still on stage, throwing around his name like it was a shield. "I'm King Harris, son of Tip," one source recalled him bragging. At first, it worked. Other inmates knew who he was, and some even wanted selfies. But that moment of clout faded fast. Respect in the outside world doesn't carry much weight inside, and before long, King's mouth landed him in trouble. Reports claim it all started when King allegedly clashed with members of a gang already running the unit. At first, it was subtle sidees, whispered threats. But King couldn't resist firing back. Witnesses say he taunted them, bragging about his family's wealth and his celebrity status. That was his first mistake, because in jail, ego paints a target on your back. Within days, tension escalated. King was allegedly cornered in the common area and forced to hand over some of his commissary. Chips, snacks, and hygiene items he thought would buy him comfort were stripped away. One source described it bluntly. They tested him and he failed. From that moment, the cocky King Harris image began to crack. But the situation turned darker when word spread that the gang he had disrespected wasn't just any group. They were known for controlling the flow inside that facility. Suddenly, King wasn't just another inmate, he was a prize, a pawn, and a potential victim. Insiders claim that late one night, King was confronted in his cell. Nothing violent, but the message was clear: you don't run nothing here. That was enough to shake him. Gone were the cocky grins and Instagram-ready poses. Guards reportedly noticed a change. King became more withdrawn, pacing constantly, eyes darting to every corner. The real breaking point came when King was taken to court for a routine hearing. According to courtroom witnesses, King looked nothing like his usual self. Dressed in jailhouse orange, his energy was low, his voice shaky. And when the judge denied an immediate release request, King allegedly broke down. "Please, Your Honor, I can't stay in there," he reportedly pleaded, his words echoing through the courtroom. For the first time, the tough-talking rapper's son sounded terrified. That moment sent shockwaves across social media. Clips of his courtroom outbursts spread like wildfire, with fans and critics weighing in. He thought jail was a game. Now he's crying to get out. One Twitter user wrote. Others were more sympathetic. "He's young, he's scared. This should be a wake-up call." Meanwhile, the Harris family scrambled behind the scenes. Sources say T.I. and Tiny were devastated but divided. Tiny, the protective mother, was allegedly pushing hard for bail, pleading with lawyers to do whatever it took. T.I., however, reportedly saw the situation differently. This might be the lesson he needs. One insider quoted Tip as saying, "That quote alone sparked a frenzy," with fans debating whether T.I. was being cold or simply letting his son face reality. The media circus didn't stop there. Gossip outlets dug into King's past, controversies, his public altercations, his reckless Instagram lives, his constant need to prove himself as hard. Commentators pointed out how King had often dismissed his parents' warnings, brushing off their attempts to guide him. This is what happens when clout becomes more important than common sense. One viral video argued, but the real fuel came from alleged leaks inside the jail. Anonymous accounts began posting cryptic messages about King's struggles, claiming he had been moved to protective custody after the gang threats intensified. While officials refused to confirm, fans seized on the narrative. King Harris, once the loudest in the room, now hiding for safety. Meanwhile, celebrities began weighing in. Boosie went on IG Live and said, "That boy better learn quick. Jail ain't no playground. You can't talk your way out of that." Others, like 50 Cent, used the moment for mockery, reposting memes of King's courtroom plea with captions like, "Money can't buy you respect." The internet laughed. But for King, it was no joke. Kendra Robinson, Jock's wife and a lawyer, even chimed in online, saying, "This is why young men need mentors, not just money. Fame doesn't protect you inside." Fans praised her honesty, noting that King's situation wasn't unique. He just happened to be living it in the spotlight. As the chatter grew louder, King's courtroom breakdown became the centerpiece of the scandal. Analysts dissected every second of the footage. "He's not built for this," one legal expert noted. And the judge knows it. But the law doesn't care about who your parents are. The narrative shifted from gossip to cautionary tale. Parents across social media began sharing King's story as a warning to their kids about chasing clout and glamorizing a lifestyle they weren't ready for. "This should humble him," one mother wrote on Facebook. "Maybe now he'll realize what real consequences look like." Still, behind the moral lessons and viral memes, one truth remained. King Harris was still inside, still dealing with the gang he crossed, and still begging for a way out. Insiders whispered that his legal team was preparing an emergency petition, citing threats to his safety as grounds for release. Whether it will work or not remains unclear. But the urgency in his plea to the judge makes one thing certain. King Harris isn't the tough-talking celebrity kid anymore. He's just another young man who learned the hard way that jail isn't a place for games, and as fans wait for the next court date, the question looms: will King Harris make it out before something worse happens inside? Or will this chapter mark the darkest moment in the Harris family's history? The story didn't calm down after King Harris begged the judge for release, it only grew darker. If part 1 showed us a cocky young man colliding with reality, part 2 reveals the full weight of what happens when celebrity, arrogance, and the unforgiving rules of jail life collide. Because once King crossed the wrong gang inside, there was no turning back, according to multiple inside whispers. King's time behind bars went from uncomfortable to unbearable in the days following his courtroom breakdown. Prison gossip spreads faster than wildfire, and word of his desperate plea to the judge leaked back into the unit. Inmates began mocking him, calling him Crybaby King, laughing about how the rapper's son folded under pressure. What might have been just embarrassment on the outside became dangerous humiliation on the inside. In jail, weakness doesn't just earn ridicule, it attracts predators, the gang. King clashed with reportedly doubled down on their intimidation. Rumors claim they robbed him again, this time taking not just commissary but personal letters and family photos, waving them around like trophies. For King, this was more than bullying. It was a complete stripping away of his identity. Insiders said he started eating less, isolating more, and pacing constantly in fear. The loud, brash teen was gone. In his place was someone visibly shaken, counting down the days, maybe even the hours. Maybe even the hours. Then came the alleged altercation. According to one leaked account, King was shoved and threatened in the showers after refusing to show respect to one of the gang's leaders. Guards broke it up before it turned bloody, but the message was clear. Next time, he might not be so lucky. Word of this supposed incident spread quickly, amplified by gossip pages and hip-hop blogs eager to capitalize on every shred of drama outside the jail walls. The Harris family was feeling the pressure. Tiny reportedly broke down in tears during a phone call with King, begging him to stay strong while promising they were working day and night to free him. T.I., on the other hand, maintained a tough love stance, telling close friends he wanted King to learn a lesson. But even T.I. couldn't ignore the reality. Their son wasn't just in jail, he was in danger. Fans split into camps online. Some blamed King's own arrogance, saying he had glorified a lifestyle he wasn't prepared for. He wanted to be a gangster so bad. One viral tweet read, "But now he's begging to get out." Others were more sympathetic, pointing out that King was only 19, still young, still impressionable, and undeserving of the torment he was allegedly enduring. Instagram comment sections turned into battlegrounds, with arguments flaring between critics and defenders. Celebrities, too, weighed in. Rapper Lil Boosie doubled down, saying, "I told y'all before, jail ain't a place for no rich kid trying to play tough. They've gone eat 'em alive in there." Charlemagne the God addressed it on The Breakfast Club, saying King's situation was the perfect example of why clout chasing backfires. Meanwhile, Snoop Dogg posted a cryptic meme about raising kids to be men, not internet gangsters, which fans immediately linked to King's ordeal. Then came the bombshell. An anonymous gossip account released what it claimed were leaked DMs from someone inside the jail. The messages described King being moved into protective custody after the shower incident. He's scared for his life. One message read, "They got him shook. He don't want to come out the cell," while officials refused to comment. The timing lined up with reports that King's court team had filed an emergency motion for release citing safety concerns in the courtroom. However, the judge was unmoved. Everyone faces challenges in custody, the judge reportedly said, rejecting the request for immediate release. Those words crushed King, who, according to insiders, slumped forward and buried his face in his hands as the decision was read. The image of him, broken, shoulders hunched, spread across news outlets as a symbol of how far the mighty had fallen. Meanwhile, his social media persona unraveled. Old videos of King taunting critics, showing off stacks of cash, and threatening to fight went viral again, juxtaposed against his current reality. The memes were ruthless. Split screens showing King flexing on Instagram versus crying in court, for every sympathetic fan begging for compassion. 10 more mocked him, but behind the memes was a darker truth. King's safety was spiraling. Reports claim rival gangs were watching him closely, waiting for the perfect moment to make an example out of him. One anonymous former inmate told a blog, "If the guards don't move him out completely, he's a sitting duck. These dudes don't care who your daddy is." Back at home, T.I. finally broke his silence in an Instagram Live, looking somber. The rapper admitted his son was struggling. "This ain't what I wanted for him," he said. "I tried to teach him better, but sometimes you gotta learn the hard way." Fans were divided. Some praised T.I. for being honest, while others blasted him for not doing more to protect his child. Tiny, meanwhile, stayed quieter, though she liked multiple fan comments urging her to pull King out before it's too late. By now, the story had transcended gossip, was a full-blown cultural moment. Commentators framed it as a cautionary tale about privilege, parenting, and the dangers of glamorizing street life. Think pieces flooded the internet. The fall of King Harris, when clout becomes a cage, and can fame save you behind bars. But the darkest chapter came when new leaks hinted at a planned attack. According to the gossip account, Word spread that the gang king, angered, was preparing to check him in a more violent way if he wasn't released soon. Whether this was true or just scare tactics, the narrative gripped the internet. Fans begged the Harris family to intervene, while critics coldly said, "He made his bed. Now he has to lay in it." As part 2 closes, King's image is shattered. The once cocky, loudmouth celebrity kid is reduced to a frightened young man, hiding in protective custody, begging for a judge's mercy. His family is torn between protecting him and letting him learn hard lessons. The internet is watching with morbid fascination, waiting to see whether King Harris will make it out unscathed, or whether his story becomes one of hip-hop's most tragic cautionary tales. Because at this point, one thing is certain: the boy who thought he was untouchable has been touched by reality in the harshest way possible. And the next chapter may be even darker. By the time King Harris entered the 3rd week of his incarceration, the buzz outside the jail had reached a fever pitch. Social media was flooded with hashtags like #FreeKingHarris and #CrybabyKing, with half the internet mocking his courtroom meltdown and the other half genuinely worried for his safety. Inside the walls, though, there was nothing funny about what was happening. The gang king had crossed wasn't letting up. Word spread fast that they were planning something serious to send a message, and the guards knew it. According to insiders, the atmosphere around King's unit was tense. Guards doubled patrols. Inmates whispered about a hit being prepared. Some say King was temporarily transferred to a different pod for safety, but that only made him look weaker. A move that further destroyed whatever credibility he had left inside. Then came the alleged check. One night, in the middle of a chaotic scuffle in the common area, King was reportedly shoved to the ground and roughed up. Nothing life-threatening, but enough to rattle him and confirm everyone's fears. He wasn't just being threatened anymore, he was being targeted. A blurry, grainy photo supposedly snapped by another inmate's smuggled phone appeared online. King on the floor, guards rushing in. The image went viral within hours. Outside, the reaction was immediate. Fans gasped, critics gloated, and gossip blogs ran headlines like "King Harris gets a reality check behind bars." Tiny, devastated, was reportedly in tears. Calling every lawyer she could, T.I. finally lost his composure, blasting the system on Instagram. "My son ain't safe in there. Y'all supposed to protect him, not let this happen." His words sparked debates. Was King a victim of negligence, or simply another inmate learning jail's harsh realities? Meanwhile, the gossip account fueling the drama dropped its biggest leak yet. An alleged voicemail from inside. The muffled recording featured a voice claimed to be King, breaking down as he begged someone to get me out before something happens. Whether it was real or fake didn't matter. The internet exploded. "He's terrified," fans commented. "This ain't the life he thought he wanted." The clip spread like wildfire, further cementing the narrative of King as a broken, humbled figure. But then, in a stunning twist, King himself allegedly went live from jail using a smuggled phone. The stream, though brief, showed him pacing in his cell, looking gaunt and stressed. "I ain't scared of nobody," he declared, trying to project strength. But his trembling voice and darting eyes told another story. Within minutes, the live was cut off, likely by guards. But the damage was done. Millions had seen the truth. The Harris family faced a crisis of reputation. King's once entertaining antics had now become a nightmare, dragging his parents into the scandal. Tiny's Instagram filled with supportive messages urging her to protect her son. T.I.'s comments section, however, was brutal, with fans accusing him of failing as a father. Some even resurfaced clips of King openly disrespecting his parents on camera, claiming this was the inevitable result of years of unchecked behavior. Meanwhile, production teams behind Love and Hip Hop debated whether to capitalize on the drama or distance themselves. Leaked emails suggested executives worried that including King's storyline would be seen as exploitative. Yet they couldn't ignore the ratings potential. "People want to see this," one alleged producer wrote. But is it too dark? As days dragged on, the legal battle intensified. King's attorneys filed another emergency motion for release, this time armed with evidence of threats, alleged attacks, and his deteriorating mental state. In court, King appeared frail, his swagger gone. "Please, Your Honor," he whispered, "I don't belong there." For once, the courtroom was silent. No laughter, no mockery. Just the heavy realization that this was a young man unraveling. Still, the judge hesitated. "Every inmate faces hardship," he repeated. Though sources say pressure from the Harris family's legal team and public outcry was mounting, rumors swirled that influential figures in Atlanta were quietly lobbying for King's release behind the scenes. But even as the legal drama unfolded, the internet kept fueling the fire. Memes mocked his live stream, while think pieces painted him as a cautionary tale of clout gone wrong. Some fans insisted the experience would humble him. Others predicted it would scar him for life. One viral post summed it up. King Harris wanted to be a gangster. Now he just wants to be free. Then the most explosive twist yet. A woman claiming to be connected to the gang went online, alleging that King had paid for protection but failed to honor his promises. According to her, that betrayal is what led to the threats and altercation. The allegations shocked fans whose King actually trying to buy safety inside, only to back out. His legal team denied it, but the rumors spread like wildfire, tarnishing his image even further. Finally, after weeks of drama, leaks, and public pressure, the judge granted King a conditional release pending further hearings, citing concerns for his safety. When the news hit, the internet erupted. Outside the courthouse, King looked exhausted but relieved, clinging to Tiny as cameras flashed. T.I. walked beside them, his face tight with anger and relief. But the story didn't end there. Critics immediately blasted the decision as celebrity privilege, saying any other inmate would have been forced to endure. Others argued it was the right call, given the clear danger he faced. The divide was sharp. Was King Harris a victim of his own arrogance, or of a system that couldn't protect him? King himself remained silent. Aside from one cryptic Instagram post, a black screen with the words, "Never again." Fans debated its meaning. Was he promising to change, or simply relieved to be free? As the dust settled, one truth remained. King Harris entered jail as a cocky celebrity kid. But he left humbled, broken, and forever changed. His ordeal became a defining cautionary tale, a stark reminder that fame, money, and family names mean nothing when you're locked in with the wrong people. And while he's free for now, the scars of his time inside, the humiliation, the threats, the fear will follow him for the rest of his life. Whether he uses this moment to rebuild or self-destruct further remains to be seen. Because in the end, King Harris begged for freedom and got it? But the question haunting everyone now is, at what cost? And if you thought this was the end of King Harris's nightmare, you better think again. Because with every leak, every blurred photo, and every whispered rumor from inside those walls, one thing became crystal clear. This story isn't finished. King might be out for now, but the scars of what happened behind bars, they don't fade overnight. And if the streets are right, the gang he crossed hasn't forgotten a thing. So the real question is, will King Harris rise from this disaster stronger, humbled, and finally ready to change? Or is this just the first chapter in an even darker downfall? Because trust me, the next move he makes could define his entire future. That's why you can't just sit back. You need to lock in with us right now. Smash that like button until it breaks. Hit subscribe before the next twist drops. Because when the next leak hits the internet, you don't want to be the one catching up hours late. And most importantly, jump in the comments and sound off. Was King a victim of the system or a victim of his own ego? Did he deserve the reality check? Did jail go too far? Your voice matters. The world is watching, so don't miss out. Like, comment, subscribe. Because when the next bombshell in the King Harris saga drops, want to be here first? Want to be here first?